Otherworld.
Hello and welcome to another Could It Have Been a Classic? Otherworld, 1985. The planet fell and the Sterling family. Well, you want to know? Otherworld. This is like a precursor to Sliders in some ways. Otherworld was an interesting experiment. It got cancelled after 8 episodes. In America, when Airwolf was on, it was big. Obviously, you know, Airwolf was in its stride by its second season. They put in Otherworld, it either went on before, I think it went in at the time of Airwolf, and it bombed. It bombed. I've read a few of the reviews, but this series had potential, and this is what could have made Otherworld a classic. Right, it starts off as this family. The father, he's got a good job. They're called the Sterlings. I think there's Gina, and I think daughter's called Gina. I don't know the name. I could dig it. I did read it on Wikipedia. Let's call them the Sterling family. Well, there's the dad. When it comes to it, he don't mess about. He will defend his family at all costs. The mother's very strong, independent. The daughter is, son's your standard 80s looking kid, teenager. You know, that 80s. I mean, this thing is so of its time. It's so 80s. It's unbelievable. So, what I'll do, I'll let it run in the background because there's adverts on. Right, let's start this. So, the Sterling family are in Egypt, and the father, I don't know, is some kind of archaeologist or scientist. He's normally a scientist, or they've got a good job at the profession. They're on holiday and they're going back to America. Kids want to go back to LA and all this, and son misses MTV, all 80s trappings. But father's finishing this job off in Egypt, so they have to go to the Great Pyramid. And they get taken there by this right greedy tourist guide, and obviously he gets them lost in pyramid. They end up in this room, and he shuts the door and says, "I want more money. If you give me more dollars, I'll take you out." And then this bright light occurs in this room, and that bang, they're gone. Because apparently 6 planets went into alignment every 10,000 years, and it opens an interdimensional door, or somewhere else. Now it's a bit weird. Where they end up on is a planet called Fel, and in the background there is 2 moons or 2 planets in the background. I assume the moons. So now and time runs differently here because we find this out. Well, the planet Fel, the capital city. I'll give you a quick explanation. So they end up in this place and they think they're back in the desert, right? So they're walking down the road thinking they're going back to Cairo, and this car pulls up, and get this is the car Francis were after Logan in Logan's Run, you know, the Sandman car, and in it is Nuveen Krull, the zone troop, and he gets out and they think he's some kind of police officer in another country, right? And he wants to know what they're doing, wandering around in Forbidden Zone. And the father shows him his California driver's license. He looks at it, just throws it on the floor, and he says, "You're all nicked." So anyway, try and shove his son back at car, a lot of them, you know, and his gun goes off and it stuns him. And they haven't got a clue what's going on, but they panic, the family. So like, he's stunned. They're called biotronic guns. It's like a laser gun. You've got 2 settings on it, stun and kill, and they're really weird guns. It's like a gun but upside down. And he's got a crystal in car now. Well, this Nuveen Krull is one of the greatest zone troopers on the planet Fel. His reputation of being a badass is like, you know. And so we set up the story that in every episode he's pursuing them and they're trying to get home. Now it comes out that the first place they drive into, they dump the car, they end up in this place. It's a mining town. They mine this element called Sarlax that powers their technology. And when they're going along, they get somewhere to live and that. But what they don't realise, that everybody in this town, their androids and the creators died hundreds of years ago. and the androids evolved, but they love the creators so much, they emulate them. But what they do in this zone, because I'm going to go into the zone thing in a minute, what they do here in their zone, they mine the Starlux, it's radioactive to us, you see. So they figure out they're in a town full of androids. By this time, they're realising they're not on Earth. They're somewhere else. Wherever it is, they are. Now, it could be another planet. It could be the universe next door. You don't know. But they're on this planet called Fel, and it's got 2 moons and some other planet. I think they're either a moon and a planet, or there could be 2 moons, right? Because you see this. So they realise that this crystal they took, it gives them access to everything in Otherworld. You know, like if you were a zone like a really high up, gives you access. So anyway, I think the mother becomes a bit radioactive sick, so they cure her and they leave the town, and the son falls in love with this female android because they're evolved. They even put in, get this right, they love the human masters so much they actually put in a lifespan control, so they do die because they want to emulate death. And this is crazy, and it's all uploaded to this weird supercomputer. You know, even zone troopers can't circumvent this computer. So it's pretty weird. Well, Commander Kroll doesn't like being there because they're all androids, they're nothing to him. But they get out, and then every week they end up in these zones. Now on the planet Emar, right, Emar's the capital, well not planet, the planet Fel, the capital is called Emar, and it's an ancient place, but it dominates this world, right? It dominates everything. But there's 77 zones on this world, and each zone is like a different world, or it's like a different country with different rules. But in each zone, something extremely odd and weird's going on. They govern themselves, but they're under control of Emar, which there's these zone troopers. Now, what we find out in Fel's history, that there was some rebellion called the Zone Wars, the Triton Rebellion, and there were some other campaigns, the Black Mirror campaign, and there was there's 4 wars. I think there've been 4 wars about. I think there must have been some zones wanting their independence from Emar, and Emar, you know, is like, you do see Emar in the credits. It's New York in a negative photograph, you know, and that's what they were trying to do. It does look good. But they've got to get there, because when they're wandering through Forbidden Zone, there's these stone columns with the all-seeing eye, the Illuminati, you know. And this points the way to Emar. So they're going to Emar, and obviously every week they meet people, and they find out about other people from our world that have been there before. You know what I mean? They've, you know, like bits of evidence and that. They go to a zone called Metaplex, and the daughter, she's recognised as the reincarnation or the return of Princess Metra or something. And she left alone. She turned it all democratic, but they supply out weapons for Emar. It's like the technology part. And she's apparently got a destiny, she's going to come back. Well, they all think it's her, you see. And this is where you find out about the time difference between their world and our world. So when we're going along with this, the person that were there from 60s who crossed over, she set up a quiz and a test to sort of to whoever gets to obtain the royal crown or whatever, and the daughter pass it out because it's all questions from our world. So and then they leave and they sort the problems out, and you keep on going. So you go to more provinces every week, and there's different situations, but they do there's stories of travellers from other worlds, and apparently the Pyramid of Giza were built to stop people from coming up from their side. This is what you find out, and there's like little bits of history, and I really like this. Now the religion in Otherworld is not like our religions. It's the supreme the Church of Artificial Intelligence, which is another genius. Do you know what I mean? But it seems that there is a rebel faction somewhere, because they are sort of mentioning about people that they've got a thing. It's quite strict outside the zones, but zone troopers can go into any zone and restore or destroy it. I mean, they're the power. But within these borders, they can do what they want. But everything's weird. So you've got Kroll. He's after him every week. But he's so bad-tempered that he's played by Jonathan Banks, who is a good actor. He ends up in the zone where they end up, where it's like a feminist zone, where women are in charge and men are second rate. And it's really funny, because he turns up ordering all these women about, and they arrest him and put him on slave auction for sale, and he's shouting and bawling. And it's absolutely hilarious, because apparently government has this unique deal with them at EMA. And then they leave there. That's one of the funny episodes. You meet the motor pigs, where they're like all taking chalk and mix it up. They're called chalkheads. They get stoned. They're like Mad Max type people. They rob all convoys in between zones and that. But one of them knows about people travelling across, because his father before he came from our worlds, and so he believes it, and he shows them proof. But they have to see. You have to go to EMA because there's some like priest there or something. There's something there that can send them back, and some people, you don't really get much into that. But they find this out because there's a Beauty and the Beast episode of this guy who went to other worlds, but he came back all powerful, but he was cursed. And he tried to take over EMA, but they banished him. There was something like they all fought back. So there must be some kind of sorcery there as well. There's a bit of mysticism in this, but it's like the technology of felt is more advanced than ours in certain areas. Especially with the computer and the android technology and the laser weapons. But I think that we only get to see a bit of it, but there's enough. But I think there's things in our side where we're more advanced, but it is. I mean, this series, some of the stories are really good. They're like the androids aging and dying, which I love that concept of this. But the thing is, it's this family that are travelling every week to a different zone. Do you know what I mean? But like I was saying about the Beauty and the Beast episode, where he falls in love with mother, and only this thing called Starfall can kill him, and this Starfall lands in this river, and they make an arrow of it, and father shoots him, and it all ends up it's this fella's brother. He used to be somebody right powerful in EMA, and he tells them about these people that can get him back. And so that's it. They leave there after that. But he's like the evil one. He's restored to. He's got his soul back. He's human again, and he dies happy. But it carries on. We go to you've got your feminist zone, your android zone, and what else? There's this other. There's another weird zone in this, and I forgot what it was. But maybe it's best you find out on this journey yourself. Now, this got cancelled after 8 episodes. Did this. Oh, that's it. That's the episode Memory Flash. It's called How to Be Men. Seriously, it's something like that. Where the son, when you fail your grades at school, they're in a farming zone. And the son, he can't be bothered studying because they keep moving around. But father says, look, Wilbur, you've got to, learn. Because they're creating identities in every zone with this crystal. And this school, they talk about corn time. Well, it would do your head in. Well, he just don't give a toss. And he gets a yellow notice. And when you get a yellow notice, you're drafted into zone troopers. And that is, they end up in this military academy called Triangulum. And they end up there. And now, only way you can get out is that if you become an officer, you can resign. But if not, you're a grunt. They call them ZITs, zone troopers in training, don't ask. But he said they're really strict. And Mark Leonard's in this, and he's got a metal hand, and there's like gas, like a flame coming out of it, and he's like malevolent, and he's looking for some of potential, and some shows potential because he's got to become an officer. And obviously the dark moment comes where he's got to prove himself, but he plays it around and he escapes with his family. I don't want to spoil all this because I want you to experience it yourself. And they keep going on. After that, they escape. Kroll turns up. He goes mad because they're their family. So they're now like terrorists in their world because, they've got his crystal and they're moving zone to zone. But this would have been so interesting. I reckon if you'd have got a couple of years out of this, you know, eight episodes want a chance at all. You know, it just want a chance. Well, apparently the creators wanted to write darker stories about you dealing with human fear and, you know, in this place and how they handle it as a family. There were an episode that they were going to make, but they decided, TV execs said, no, we don't want it, where they meet themselves. And instead of killing, they've got to kill the person. So these paradigms of ourselves, they're like, can live. There's not killing, you've got to break you inside through fear. And I think episodes like that would have been amazing. Now the father, he's just like, well, when it comes to family, he will kick ass, and they're all dependent on each other. But in every episode, there is a bit of a moral thing about humanity and understanding, because he gives this speech at the end, and I assume when he's giving this speech at the end, like father, he says something like a monologue at the end of each episode. I assume that. I think they got back, and he's writing his memory. John Boyd Walters, when each episode, he's writing about what happened this week. Well, I think that, and I do think they did get back, but I would have liked to have seen Emar and the society there, because the zone troopers fascinate me. This whole culture and the zone wars and all this. I mean, in 8 episodes, they established some form of history in this series. And like, there's a lot of things going on in this world that are supernatural and science-based and rest of it, which makes this really interesting. And after 8 episodes, you think, well, you know, I need more of this. It had potential. I think the casting were very good for this show. I mean, it's the stereotype. This programme is of its time. Even how they're dressed science fiction-wise, you know, and you recognise half the props from Buck Rogers, Battlestar Galactica, V, you know, some of the Star Trek movies. It's all the same computer banks and props, and the vehicles are from Logan's Run. They've been in other stuff, you know. But if you put that aside, their society, like, is ruled by someone called the Praetor or Praetors. That's the government, and then it's zone troopers, and obviously it'd be officials and all this, which makes this interesting. But you could also stereotype it. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of fantastic journey in this Logan's Run, Planet of the Apes. People that end up in this strange place, and every week they're in a strange situation. I mean, it's not a format that is not different, don't get me wrong. But what could be said about this? I've read some of the comments by fans on this programme. There is a bit of love for this programme. But 8 episodes, you see, we got it on Yorkshire in 1985. And it was on at 12:30. I never forgot it. I remember watching, I'd been out and I was staying at a mate's house. And we were all there in his flat, waking up, you know, hang on, about 18, 19. And I don't know, I think it's one of them Saturday morning programmes we're on. We're all sat in room, I'm getting ready to go home, like, and it came on, and my mate said, what's this? And it started, credit Otherworld. And I watched it and I thought, this is bloody marvellous, this. What's this? So every Saturday I used to record it, because, you know, for one thing, and I'd watched it and I loved it. You know, and I've never forgot Otherworld. You know, 30 years on, never once forgot about Otherworld. It's always lingered there at the back of my mind. And when YouTube came out about a couple of years ago, somebody uploaded it. They are bad quality episodes. You know, and that's the problem from VHS tape. But it's the nearest thing. I would like to see this out on DVD, but there's only 8 episodes. But I think there's a couple of scripts as well that would have took this further. But there is, I mean, this is, honestly, it's a weird one. Is 8 episodes worthy to give it? Could have been a classic. I think there's about 3, I'd say there's about 3 good stories with some sort of deep-rooted science fiction stuff, and I'd say 4 of them are pretty standard rate you haven't seen before, you know, you've seen before. But there is a couple, like the concept with the androids, which I loved. Even the Beauty and Beast episode, I know it's been done, but how they did it, I really liked it, because it connected to Emar, and you're fascinated by their world and their society. I mean, religion, it's not like religion in our world. They have the Church of Artificial Intelligence, and it's like they don't really go into worship of it. I mean, another good episode, which is one of the better quality ones. Rock and roll goes to Otherworld. The kids they end up in this province, and it's quite religious, I think. And they start playing, they start singing Beatles songs, and everybody they become like megastars in this province because they're playing Beatles songs and all this. And the kids there, they're going mad. They've never heard out like it's like this freedom, you know. Rock and roll goes to Otherworld. Well, Kroll turns up, and the kids are on stage, and there's loads of people at this concert. And even he likes it. He said, well, because they've got the vicar of artificial intelligence, or the bishop, and he's going, this is an affront to what we believe in this. Look at them all freaking out to it. And even Kroll says, well, the young people, let them have the fun. And then he recognises them. And it's so like, it's like they're trying to contaminate the culture of Otherworld with their ways. Because wherever they go, they have an effect on people. It's like the feminist episode. Like they meet a couple. Instead of marriage, they have some vow relationships. You know, like they take a vow. But the feminists there don't like it because men have got another place. Because hundreds of years ago, there was a female commander, and she never got promoted, so she didn't like men. And she sort of created this zone. And it's got a special sort of thing with email where it's all female dominant. Nothing wrong with that. I know where they're coming with message, which it is quite a very clever episode because it is funny, you know. And when Kroll turns up, he starts gobbing it off because his second in command says, you know, we're not allowed in there. We have to take females onto it, and he's not listening because he's right high up. But they go there, they arrest him and they put him up for auction, and he's there in spandex, shouting and bawling at all these women, and it's hilarious. Do you know what I mean? But obviously they have an effect on the people they meet there because how they carry on in public. Him and his wife, you know, everybody else is sort of freaked out by it, you know. So it's like when they leave, some people take on their ways of, how do you say, the freedoms what we have in our world. So there is, like, where they go, they have an impact with our ways over theirs, because their ways seem insane to us, but to them, you know, that's what I like about Otherworld, you know. But there is so much more to this series. I believe it should have gone for like 12 episodes per season, and I think there is a potential for a 5-year run here because they really focus on the family unit and how they cope with these situations, and I quite like that. Otherworld, it's a pleasure to watch. It's a little treat you can sit in and just take it for what it is. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I love about this. It's from the time of Highwayman and V. You know, Buckrod, I said, around about the mid-80s, we had some pretty weird sort of science fiction, and you recognise, and you can attack Otherworld for being dead cheesy. You know, you can really attack it for being dead cheesy, but that's the love of this programme. It's a treat, is this, to watch. So I'm going to say to you, could it have been a classic? I say yes. It had the potential, and the reason why, because 30 years ago it still lingers at the back of my mind. And the Sterling family, I reckon they got back, because each monologue, it might have, but this is my theory, that he's writing about the stuff they did in Otherworld before they got home. Now, you want to know about time, when they're in Metroplex, the girl that was there in the 60s from our world, to them in Otherworld it was 200 years ago, so time runs differently. And that makes it even more interesting. So what about when they get back, or cross? I mean, this is it. But there's this like back history of thousands of years and rumours, and some people secretly believe it, of travellers from other worlds. And I will say it again, Otherworld could have been a classic. It truly is. You know, it's just a shame that I would like to watch this in decent quality, and we have to put up with video quality episodes on YouTube, but I'm grateful that they're there and that the memory of this programme will go on. And that's me and my monologue. So welcome to episode 9. It could have been a classic. It's got to stay within 3 seasons. It's got to be cancelled, but it lingers, and there's something in there that gave it potential. You know what I mean? They're the rules of Could Have Been a Classic. So give this video a like, guys. Give it a shout. You know, let me know your comments. I will be live Sunday at 7 o'clock UK time. And if you want to discuss Otherworld, let me know. So until episode 10 of Could Have Been a Classic, I'll see you then.